Hello and welcome to part one of a four-part series of cars I'm doing for the festive season. First one's a lorry as it happens. It's probably the oldest diecast that I've done so far. From the nearest I can establish, it was made in the late 1940s at Louis Marx' new factory in Eastad Road, Swansea. I've heard it variously described as a farmer's market truck or a farm truck. It's extremely play worn, very kind of simple casting, but not without its charm. Just examining it here to decide on the best way to take it to pieces. As I say, it's the strangest thing. I've not had anything else quite like it. Springs keeping the wheels in place on these fairly simple axle rods with pinched ends. I'd already test filed the end off this particular axle to see whether I'd be able to get it apart. And as you can see, it's relatively simple to get to pieces. Somewhat time consuming with the filing on the axles, but there it is. The axle pins are all quite bent. And little rubber tyres, which I wouldn't be able to get any replacements for, I don't think, are quite scruffy, but I got an idea to do something with those afterwards. We've got to break out the file now and file the end off the other axle to remove it. This is very time consuming, so I'll skip most of it. But you can see the principle, just hold it still. File down the lugs with a little so-called diamond file. And many passes later, you can remove the axles. Last one to go. And that's it. All stripped and ready for its bath in the caustic soda. Having dipped it in the caustic soda for half an hour, got most of the paint off. There are some little bits of residual paint hanging around in the corners, but they'll polish away with the Scotch-Brite when I'm polishing it all up. As I said previously, the axles are a little bit bent. I'm going to have to be straightening some of those out on the vise, I think. It's all come up pretty well. Tyres are nice and clean. So scoop them all up now, take them outside and give them a doing with the Scotch-Brite on the Dremel or rotary tool attachment. It's obviously not a Dremel that I'm using here. Coming up quite well. Just a general polish around, get the last vestiges of paint off, get the residue off it from the caustic soda treatment. Get it all nice and ready for the primer. It's a time consuming little job, but it's well worth the effort. Improve the finish. Casting's not in bad nick for a car that was born long before I was. But I've primed it up now, and what I'm actually putting down here now, although you can't see it particularly well, is an aluminium fine coat. Doesn't really show too well on the camera, but it's a reflective aluminium, tiny little aluminium flakes in the suspension. that we're going to give a ground coat for the candy paint that I'm going to use next. Same treatment now for the trailer, on with the aluminium fine. Unfortunately, because the aluminium is reflective and the lights in the paint booth are quite bright, it's kind of making it a little difficult to see. But it will show rather better when I apply the candy coat in a few minutes. This is a new product that I'm going to be using, well, new to me, from the JVR paint company called Top Candy. I've used quite a few different candy paints over the years. Most of them you've had to use an airbrush thinner or a medium thinner on. But this is straight from the bottle and I was quite impressed with it. Going on quite well. It doesn't have that tendency to propensity to run like a lot of the other candies I've tried do. Goes on quite well. I would certainly recommend it. I'll leave a link in the description for those of you who are interested. It's quite a good range, and it certainly goes on very well. I was very impressed with it. I've had some quite upsetting moments with candy paints in the past, so to find one that goes on straight from the bottle's been a revelation. I expect to see quite a bit more in the not too distant future, I think. It's obviously not a restoration I'm going for here. I wanted a nice bright cheerful kind of candy red colour for the festive season. Straightforward, apply multiple, like as with most airbrush paints, multiple light passes. Don't try and cover it all in one go. That road only leads to ruination. I do occasionally flash it off here with a heat gun, but I haven't included that in the video. I've no doubt that you've seen me using the hot air dryer to flash off the coat on numerous occasions. I'm trying to keep the length of the videos down a little bit where I can. Apologies for some of the dodgy angles, but I had been trying to use a camera that somebody had given me to try, because most of my videos are only made with a mobile phone, and the autofocus on it hadn't worked as well as I'd liked. I've got the back of the creep is in beautiful focus, but unfortunately it's the painting that we want to see. I'm going to blast on the interior of the cab now. It's going on again quite well, I think. It's getting all the bottom edges covered. As I say, the aluminium fine, that's the ground coat for the candy, is quite reflective, and it's really catching the white light in the top of the spray booth there, playing havoc with the white balance on the camera. So I'm really taken with this new paint. Perhaps if I'm nice and not naughty, Father Christmas might bring me some more colours. You never know your luck. Now, this is a little experiment I'm trying with these scruffy wheels. They, as I say, quite a bit of playwood, and they've got whiskers of worn plastic on them. I'd already tried the first three, and if you look closely you can see a bit of a difference in the colouring between the two. And I'm just flicking a cold flame across the surfaces. It's making them darker, and it's kind of melting all the little whiskers of plastic off and making the wheel look quite a bit tidier. I was going to be pleased with the outcome on this. As I said, just playing the coal flame across it. Don't have it too hot, don't keep it there too long. Maybe try the idea out on something that you're not quite so invested in before you go burning up something that you can't replace. And the final one, that was the worst one of the lot, that I ended up putting on the fifth wheel on the trailer, just because it got the least amount of work to do and it was the least visible. But overall, I'm kind of happy with this idea. Oddly enough, of all things, I picked up the tip watching somebody using this on plastic seating in a stadium, that had got quite a bit of osmosis and was turning white. And they played a huge, great fan of flame across them, and the transformation was remarkable. So I thought, I'll see whether the principle will work on my little truck, and to be fair, I'm happy with it. I think it worked quite well. Just a test fit back on the axle now. It's all fine, looks good. That's the spring on. I think that's going to be okay. I've already spray lacquered the candy coat on the paint. The shine on it is lovely. I really can't rave enough about this particular brand of paint. And I'm just laying on now some chrome paint just on the raised sections of the lamps, the kind of ridges of it. And it's that Stuart Semple Culture Hustle chrome, which is a brush paint, and it's a little bit long-winded in the drying, but the finish is really nice, and it does go for miles. It's expensive, but I think buy one pot and it will last a lot longer than you need it to, unless you're going to be painting the left side of the Titanic with it or something. Certainly goes an awful long way with very, very little. I've never used much more than the residue inside the cap when I've shook it up. Never needed to. Certainly leaves a nice high chrome finish. One of the best I've come across of a brush finish. A bit less clumsy than the Molotow pens. I don't have much luck with them. Now it's time for assembly. Not going to be one of the most long-winded assemblies I've ever done. Just a case of popping the springs back in, popping the axles back in. Start out that little one first. That's the scruffiest one of the wheels. That was the one that came out. Been the worst for wear. I think it had been the near side front originally, but as I say, I swapped them round to put the nicest ones in the most visible spots. Spinning nice and freely. Obviously no need for the spring locator on the back end. The axle pegs keep the wheels in place. I've put some nice shiny new springs in as well. Seemed a pity to spoil the finish. So I liberated them from a couple of ballpoint pens that I found lying about. They're pretty much identical in pitch and diameter. It's not strictly a restoration, this one's for my own little collection anyway. I wouldn't want to part with this one. Maybe a bit of an extra push, it's build up paint in the axles. Just to get it there, spinning nicely. Having got the last one into place, unfortunately I failed to record it, but I just crimped the ends with a pair of mole grips, which was the kind of gave me a satisfactory kind of appearance of the crimped ends that had originally been on there. I was happy enough with that. Just cack-handedly pushing the last one into place now. Managed to get it off camera. Well done, Neil. Pop the two bits together. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a roller. And there she is, all done. In a red candy colour with a bit of chrome highlighting here and there on one or two of the more prominent features. Popped a few Christmas tree props in to give it that festive feeling. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you'll consider giving me a thumbs up, possibly subscribing. This is the first one of 4 that I plan to do with a festive theme between now and the end of December. Oh, as I say, once again, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.